the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass series, celebrating over 25 years of drum and bass in Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is another episode of the New Zealand Drum and Bass podcast, the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass, and we're heading to Belgium right now. Where are we going to in Belgium?
You're in Antwerp right now.
Mr. DBridge, how the hell are you doing, bro?
I'm doing all right, actually. I'm doing not too bad. A bit tired this morning, you know, kids and that, but all right.
Yeah. I think the last time I saw you was bumped into you backstage at Northern Bass a couple of years back.
That's right. And I gave you a bottle of vodka as I was leaving, I think.
That's right. You did as well. You did as well. Which,
and I think I saw some pictures afterwards.
Yeah.
You had a good time.
No, it was good to see you, man. Like that night on the jungle stage at Northern Bass was the last time you were out here, wasn't it? And it was something special.
Yeah, what year was that? Because I think
it was 2019, before the pandemic.
Okay, yeah. Right, yeah. Just as a disclaimer, you're going to have to help me with timelines because my memory is terrible. But I do remember some things.
Trust me. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that because you've been coming out to New Zealand since, let's say,
97. I think it was. It was Future
Christ.
Forces.
That's right. You'd already been out here with Moldini prior to Bad Company sort of forming, right?
Yeah, I came out in 97. Yeah, that was my first time. Long old trip that was. That was a proper shock to the system, I know that much. It just felt like it took 2 days or something like that to get there.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was it like being, because obviously you and Jay were quite young back then as well, or we all were, but back in those days, that's quite a big trip. It's almost like, it's as far away as you can travel from the centre of UK drum and bass, right? Yeah,
pretty much. It was, it was crazy. I remember the offer coming in and we were like, New Zealand, yeah? All right. It was, I think we were still early in our sort of DJing career as well. I'm pretty sure it was either maybe 95 was the first DJ set we had. But yeah, 97. And we did, I was thinking back about this tour and I've still got the original poster from it. And it was memorable and weird in all kinds of ways because it was with that guy's name? Dean?
Dean Omni, yes.
Omni,
yes.
There you go. I was trying to remember.
Yep.
We used to just call him Dickney because all he used to wear was DKNY.
That's right.
And it was a strange tour. I just remember, we were just there for the first time. We were just, loving being in this strange new land for us. And then it was just as the tour unfolded, it was just kind of like, something's going on here. Do you know what I mean? It was like Dean wasn't quite. He was a strange character.
Yeah. I mean, his time in drum and bass in New Zealand was fleeting. Put it that way.
Yeah, it was
very small scene over here, and yeah.
We would. It was just weird. It was like we was doing these gigs, and we was doing. I think we did like Christchurch. Did we do Christchurch? I know we definitely did Wellington and Auckland, obviously. But I know we drove from Wellington to Auckland, and I think it was a year, there was a crazy storm that year, and it was pretty much chasing us up the island.
Oh my God.
And we were trying to outrun this storm. But yeah, we'd stopped off at this, it was like, oh yeah, we're staying here. And then me and Jay would look at each other like, what's going on? It's like, because it wasn't like a hotel, it was like this ski lodge place.
Oh, right. So it would have been in Ohakuni, which is like where they do Mardi Gras and stuff like that now as well. Was it like a big old chalet-looking one, or was it like a wooden sort of Swiss sort of
like
chalet kind of one?
Swiss thing.
Right, yeah. So that's in Ohakuni. That's a famous place. It's called the Powder Keg and Powderhorn Chateau. It's right at the bottom of Mount Ruapehu.
Yeah, but there was no one there.
Yeah, no, it would have been off season, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It felt like it was almost like he was one of those ones. He was like, "Yeah, can you wait in the car? I've just got to go and get the keys kind of thing, and it didn't feel like he went to get the keys, if you know what I mean. It felt like he tried to find a way to get in. So, yeah, it was just like this weird kind of experience. But I'll tell you, because it was his girlfriend, Tammy. She was really cool. Still talk to
Tammy
her.
was awesome. I think she was mates with Ed Rush as well when when he first come out, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was just all these weird little things were kind of like, something's not right about this. You know, we were just making the most of it. And actually, that reminds me, it was the first time I met Jeff. was in the toilets of was it Squid Bar? Is it so?
Yes,
we would do. I think we played there. And he came, I was taking a piss, and he come up next to me and was like, yeah, you know that Dean's just like paid for everything with my credit card. And I was like, first of all, I'm like, who are you? And second of all, that's not my problem. So that was my introduction to Jeff.
Oh my God, bruv. Like these, you know, like, like Dean's name's been mentioned maybe once throughout the podcast. Like, for the people out there who don't know, his name was DJ Omni. He was one of the first founders of Subtronics alongside D-Rave
right.
and Andy Pickering. And Dean kind of left a trail of devastation in his wake. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but
it was a good. What I remember of it, we had a good time, and I just I got introduced to coffee on Vulcan Lane. I'd never drunk coffee.
Oh yes,
prior
at
to
Rupan.
that.
At Rupan is where you would have gone to.
Yeah, so it would, that was the first time I got into flat whites, and that was just like a whole new world for me since then. And yeah, I think that was the first time. And yeah, I loved it, and I thought, I need to come back here. I didn't know when it would be, but thankfully I did.
Well, how long after you and Jay did that Future Forces tour did you link up with Fresh in Vegas?
It probably wouldn't have been that long after that. Probably, I think like the year '98 we started. Because when did we had like
the nine was '98, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it would have been before that because the Code was pretty much.
That's right. Yes,
probably the first official BC tune without it being Bad Company. It's it was kind of well documented that we tried to go under the name Bad Company, but Clayton didn't like the name. So he would have officially had the first BC release if he was a bit more open-minded.
Right. It's so funny how much Clayton's name has come up in this podcast, because obviously he's got he had his fingers well entrenched in the New Zealand scene all the way from London, having never even been out here, you know what I mean? But he did have an eye for talent, and that's what he was picking from the New Zealand scene back in those days, and obviously with you guys on Trouble on Vinyl and the early Renegade Hardware stuff,
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, I think definitely it would have been around early maybe even end of 97, early 98, that whole sort of era when Ed and Optical were sort of doing their thing. It would have been, because Dan came down to the studio. When did he come down? I mean, let's just... I'm not sure. I think I've told this as well. It's my first introduction to Dan was there was two studios in the Hardware, the big one downstairs and then a little pre-production.
Yeah.
And then and upstairs, and he came in and he was like, he went to play his tunes, and he kind of like, he looked at me and Jay and he was like, yeah, this might be a bit too musical for you. I was like, you what, bruv? And the funny thing is, it's like, Dan's got this certain phrasing when he plays, and he still has it to this day. And from the first moment I met him, he still does it. It's just this way he plays sort of solo keys. So yeah, he hasn't changed. But to be fair, it's got him like 3-4 number ones. So I know,
right?
Did I ever come over with him? No, I'm just trying to think, because I was always
I
with
don't
Jay.
think you guys ever came over together. It was always with Jay. I think you came over with Mick once as well, but Dan kind of like the first time that Jay and Dan came out, and it was like the launch of Cyanide Recordings that we did at Galatos and then down at the Ministry in Christchurch. Dan decided that he was going to fall in love with my girlfriend's twin sister and stay out here for a week. And so basically we spent all the money that we'd made from the tour. He was like, right, let's fucking set your studio up, bruv. And so we went down to the Rock Shop in Christchurch, bought a new pair of like Event 2020Ps, a big digital desk, all these bloody effects pedals for like guitars between our synths and stuff like that. And Dan basically set up our entire studio for us. And then I left him alone and he was like, I'm just going to just work on some tunes out here, bruv. And he made the Spider EP in my bedroom at my house that you guys put out on Bad Company. It was like, fucking sick, man. And like he dialed in our entire studio for us, which was at that time my bedroom studio, you know. And he got bitten by a white-tailed spider out here, and that's why it became the Spider EP.
Ah, that's right. I remember him saying something about that, actually, yeah.
It was mad. But yeah, Maldini was furious, bro, because he sent him off to Australia to do the last leg of the tour by himself.
Yeah, that does sound like Dan.
That's the thing, though. Like, the one thing that's come up in the podcast really is how the Bad Company tours out to New Zealand, and every time you came out after that were really pivotal moments in New Zealand drum and bass because of the selections of music that you guys were sort of peddling at that time. You know, like that sound from 98 onwards right through till around 2004 when Eurofunk started getting a bit too technical, you know, like, and when you guys were coming out, there was not just you know, tunes that we all wanted to hear. There was new albums that you were testing out here, like, you know, Inside the Machine and then Digital Nation, and, you know, like some seminal albums in history as well, you know.
Yeah. I think that because that whole period, I think once the 9 came out, and then obviously like Pulse, Fear EP, and all those kind of things. It was kind of, I think the album we had already been working on that at that time as well. I can't remember the timeline of what came first, but yeah, we were just literally, we were all over the world in all four corners at the same time. It felt like, you know, so it's quite and also I was really high, so I probably can't remember too much of it.
Is it a haze? Because you guys were riding such a wave of popularity, bro. Like, you guys were the first drum and bass act to kind of go, well, in the early forms of viral, if that makes any sense, you know, like there was such a craze around Bad Company, and my God, like the mystique that you guys had surrounding you when we all looked at you from New Zealand, and it was like, oh my God, that's the shit, and the 9 finally took off over here, and then everything else started coming out. It was like down here, Bad Company was like the biggest sound, and whoever got to bring you guys out first was going to crack it, and luckily enough, it was me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was really sort of strange and wonderful time. I know, it was a different, literally every weekend, because, you know, obviously we DJ'd in pairs, but we were that in demand that we were DJing pretty much every weekend for a solid, it felt like at least 2 years. So there's so many, it all started to blur into one, some of it, and then if you mix sort of weed and alcohol into that equation, there's not you don't remember too much of it. But it was, yeah. I obviously I think we remembered New Zealand because it was just so bloody far. You know what I mean? So we had time to relax before we got there. But yeah, I'm trying to think of, because some of the sort of seminal moments of for us in New Zealand, because obviously it was like the New Year's parties were always the thing. It was what was the one down in the in Nelson, Arthur's Path?
Yeah, it was Fat Drum and Bass Camp. Is what it was called, and it was like this incredible rave. Like Groove was there, Pendulum were there, you guys were there, fucking all the Kiwi guys, all the Hungarian guys and Austrian guys, and yeah, it was madness. Clute, I mean, yeah, me, you, and Clute were hanging out quite a lot that weekend, and Quiff and
jeez,
Smitty from Total
the whole of England was there.
The whole of England was there, bro, because it was like kind of like the stepping off point. I remember like TB and all that, like having to like come in, play their set, and then back off on the helicopter and go to the airport and catch a flight to go and play in Perth, like on the same day, like New Year's Eve. You know what I mean?
Wow. What year was that then?
Like I can't remember, but I think it might have been Fat '08. So yeah, 2008. This is quite a few years we've jumped here. Yep.
Yeah,
These raves were I think they were going on from 2006 till around 2010, and then some weird sort of bidding war happened for like a top tier name, and
yeah. So who were the parties prior to Fat then? What were the ones
before Fat?
What was the one where it was what was the one where there was that mad like a state of emergency was declared or something? It just pissed down with rain. I don't think I played it yet. I just remember it being.
That was The Gathering. That was The Gathering. That was when that was the year 2000 when Kamal and Rob came out for Conflict.
Right.
And that one was like historic. Oh my god! I just remember like because Josh and I played a live PA there, and Josh had the Jupiter 8 and like the studio computer and everything. And I remember just turning around and looking at him, and out of this mist and big fucking like rainy mist, sort of is this guy walking with a bicycle with a Jupiter 8 and a computer balanced on it.
Oh, mate, I wouldn't want to take my Jupiter right that. Jeez.
Oh, I know, bruv. I know, man. It was, it got us through.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some times out there, man.
So that's what I'm saying. I need my memory jogged on things because it was a promotion company that the road at the top of, I can't remember the road. Oh God! And they got done. Didn't they get done for drugs? Like just selling loads of drugs or something?
Oh my God! Probably, bro. Like, there's been a lot of shit like that happen over the years. But yeah, we started. I think we did. 2001, we bought Bad Company out. It was just you and Jay,
right? And
we did it at Foo Bar on Queen Street.
Yes.
And that was fire because it was like a proper, a limited ticket club gig that was just you guys, intimate audience, and we'd go rave the whole way through, sort of to New Year's Day kind of vibe. And
yeah,
that was amazing. I did that with Gaz from the Foo Zen crew.
Right, yeah.
Northern Bass, obviously. Big shout out to Gaz and the Foo Zen family.
Yeah, Foo Bar. I love that place. Got some good memories of that place.
Absolutely. I mean, that's been another thing that's popped up in this podcast as well, just especially amongst us old DJs, is like getting to play at Foo's Inn back in those days. Like the original Foo on Queen Street was such a special one. You know, it was a club that was set up by people who love drum and bass for people who love drum and bass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. But I remember just kind of. You know, there was good scenes in each of the cities. Definitely, you know, like Christchurch really had some good things. Did
you ever play at the Ministry?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing that's come up as well. Is
that shut down quite early though? In terms, not quite a while ago though, right?
Well, do you remember the 2011 Christchurch earthquake?
Yeah,
that basically leveled the entire place. It was made out of brick, and the first earthquake that happened in 2010 and kind of softened it up, and then that second one came through and nailed it, and that was it. And not just that venue, most of the venues in Christchurch, you know, so it took a toll on the scene, but they bounced back big time over there.
Good.
All down there.
Yeah. No, Christchurch was always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Wellington, I always enjoyed Wellington. And honestly, my wife from actually, we remembered we were married.
Yeah,
she was from. My ex-wife was from Wellington, so I was down there all the time, mate.
So that's right. Well, this is what I wanted to get onto, is because you actually ended up going the whole hog. Because I remember you saying to me one time, mate, I'm going to come and live out here one day, and then next minute, you know, you've bagged yourself a young Kiwi lass and you're living with her in London, and all of a sudden you've got drum and bass refugees from New Zealand like myself and Beeline and a bunch of other people coming and staying on your couch while you're in London, which
that's right.
I mean, you didn't bargain for, you know what I mean?
I had a fair few of you over, yeah.
It was like, you know, like, oh, you're going to London? Oh, sweet, here's DBridge's number.
He'll look after you.
He'll look after you, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, because Amy, she used to work for the agency that that Bad Company was with. She worked with Unique Caroline.
That's right.
So that was how I met her. So it wasn't even over in New Zealand that I met her. It just so happened that she was from New Zealand. Maybe that was my, you know, my plan all along. It was like, oh, you're a Kiwi.
Yeah.
You're my way in.
Yeah. Just visa written all over you.
Do you know what I mean? I think that actually, do you know what the funny thing is? It was the other way. Actually, the other way around.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, because she ended up staying in the UK.
That's right.
But yeah, it was. Yeah. Wow. And just there, that was a time as well.
Trip down memory lane.
Yeah. It was. I know. I'm just thinking about it. There was 10 years of that, mate. Do you know what I mean? That story. Yeah, because I used to, it was coming over, even when I didn't have work as well. I'd come over to New Zealand. We'd go over there, go and see a family who's staying in the hut.
Yep. Upper hut or lower hut?
I believe I'm going to get it wrong. I think it was upper hut,
Nice.
which is the Bogan area.
Upper hut, yeah.
Maybe it was lower hut then.
To be honest, it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other down there either, bro.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I was coming over there all the time. So I just loved the vibe of New Zealand, especially as I was like record shopping and things like that. I was constantly in me and Real Groovy. The amount of money I spent in that place, it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, mate.
And that Real Groovy probably supplied most of my music, the sounds from my music throughout that period as well, sort of early exit up until I started buying synths again. So yeah, like Slow Boat, that's in Wellington, right?
Welly, yeah, down Cooper Street.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a Kiwi institution, that place as well, Slow Boat Records.
Yeah. So I used to just just come there, just hang out. I got into a lot of Kiwi artists, and then I like obviously like Fat Freddy's.
Yeah.
One of those guys, Dallas, like an absolutely amazing singer.
Mate, if he's not the voice of the nation, then I don't know who is.
Ah,
Man.
geez. I remember seeing him once in. I think it was just went down on my own. He was just him, an MPC, and a guitar and a mic in just some random bar in Wellington.
Oh, that would have been the Matterhorn.
It wasn't the Matterhorn because I know the Matterhorn quite well. I've had many a session in that place. But yeah, it was just his voice is just unbelievable. So yeah, it was just my wife and his wife Michelle were really good friends as well, and then there was just it was weird. I kind of felt like I was part of the family. There was Tori, Dallas, who was there at the time as well, right? V Shell.
Yes, big shout out to V.
Big shout out to V.
V was the man, bro. Like, he was running one of the best bars on Brick Lane back in London when I was coming over and staying with you. I'd always catch up with V, and he'd take me out to the new hottest little spot in London. You know what I mean? Like some little speakeasy in the weirdest spots. Yeah,
that dude is like he was always setting up cool shit everywhere.
yeah, totally.
Absolute G, that guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just kind of like my memories of. Because it's like interspersed. There's the musical side of it with BC and also with Exit coming out there and myself. But then there's like the sort of a friends and family side, and then hanging out with you guys and Ollie, Ollie Cern and Johnny, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
And just having that side of it where it wasn't about music. That's what that's what I really liked as well.
I remember having a conversation with you as well, like that was kind of the end game, was to not really be out here doing music, but it was more out here to have a life and to be outside of the UK and experience something different, you know what I mean? And when you were coming out here and doing it, I was so happy for you because it was like you're actually getting to see New Zealand. You're going to spots that not many other drum and bass producers who have ever chose to spend any time in New Zealand get to go to. You know what I mean? Like you did the work as well. You got around the country when you're over here. Yeah,
exactly. I think because that's obviously as I was traveling as BC and whatever, it was just like it's just cliche sort of airport, hotel, club, airport, home. It was just that repeated. And a lot of the times you didn't get to see, didn't get to see places or experience a country and its people, and I did with New Zealand. And it was that connection with the people that kind of like, and I'm quite nomadic anyway. But it's just kind of like, this feels like somewhere where I could chill out. And I'm as well, because I grew up in the country, in UK countryside, sort of in the Cotswolds. So I like nature. So it was like seeing, when we, driving to these, driving to Fat and all that and Arthur's Path, and it's just like, what the H, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that road to Ngangahua is that's a scary one, bro. I remember me, you, Breakage, Clute, Concord Dawn, State of Mind, Trey. I think we were all in the same van once and fucking having a big old laugh and just catch ups in the back of the van. I just remember it being one of those moments you end up cherishing, because it's like you don't often get that many people who are all from different parts of the world, or like good friends from London who are out here as well at the same time, or sort of like just doing that shit together. I just remember it was just a cheesy personal moment that I cherish, because it's like, remember like breakage, like rubbing it in how much he was getting paid to compared to how much you were getting paid and shit.
I remember that now. Yeah, cheeky bastard. That's right.
Shout out, James.
Yeah, you little sod. I remember that.
Yeah, the van went quiet for a minute after that one, bro. Trust me.
It did. And I think I remember getting him back one day actually as well.
Did you?
Yeah. Where was that? What was it? Because that was pre when you started doing that sort of prance stuff, right? That sort of posh trance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah. The doof dubstep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was I won't go into it, but I got him back in front of his mates.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, that was a funny trip. But
mate, that van ride to or from, like the van ride to was always great because you were there, you're going to Fat and the anticipation was there, but fuck me days, bro, by the time it was time to come home and we were all catching the last shuttles, that 3.5 hour journey with a driver who sometimes was questionably sober or not, you know what I mean? It was fucking gnarly, man.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but my God, once you got to Fat, it was gnarly. Like, it was just like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
And how good is this? You know, like 2,000 people raving to drum and bass, and the whole place is called a drum and bass camp, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the most isolated rave in the world at that time, you know?
Yeah, it's just, so yeah, like I was saying, I just connected with the country that way, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, I think probably it was, you know, it was probably that first road trip with Dickney that did it, you know, and then driving.
Yeah, you know, to his credit, you actually got to see a bit of the countryside, and sort of, you know, that main road up through the heart of New Zealand, through the North Island of New Zealand is pretty damn fucking amazing.
Yeah, you know, I think it's stopping off at Rotorua on the way and things like that. This was all stuff, you know, I'm a kid from London, I hadn't really seen, do you know what I mean? So it was like, it was amazing for me. So much so I pretty much did the same road, me and my wife Alice, we did the same road trip from the South Island all the way up ourselves, just because I loved it.
Was this the last time you were out?
No, it would have been a year. What? Oh no, it wouldn't have been, because it would have been because I asked her to marry me on that trip.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
So you really are still angling to sow some more seeds out here, right?
Right.
Do you have a Kiwi residency?
No. I should have. I kind of like, yeah, I sort of, for some reason or another, it just sort of longed out. I think the fact that that her parents didn't know we were married probably had something to do with it.
Oh shit! Well, that could do it.
Yeah, sorry, Amy. Your parents probably still didn't know.
Well, yeah, big shout out to Amy as well. I hope this is all good.
Well, I can laugh about it now. So
yeah, of course.
So I I've been, just, I said, where do, I can't even remember where we got, I asked her to marry me. Jesus Christ, that's terrible, isn't it?
Damn. Was it top of the North Island or south of the South Island?
It was in the South Island. It was...
Milford Sound?
No. Oh, my God. Come on, Darren, you know this.
Don't say Bluff or Invercargill.
No.
Even you know the connotation associated with those two places.
Do you know what I mean? Swear. The one, oh God, the big massive lakes down there.
I'm just Googling it right now. South Island Lake. Oh, Lake Tekapo.
That doesn't sound right either.
There's Lake Tekapo, Lake Wakatipu, Lake Pukaki, Lake Wanaka, Lake Hawea, Lake Matheson, Lake Tiano, Lake Oha, Lake Manapuri, Lake Brunner, Lake Brenmore, Lake Dunstan, Lake Rotorua.
Let's try the North Island then.
Bruv, that is me going through the North Island as well.
Oh my God, she's
look,
going to kill me.
You asked her to marry you by a lake, so that's what's up.
Yeah, I just feel like it's... Thingy was there recently. There was the... where's Riverman Vines?
Gisborne.
What's the other one? The other rave?
Rhythm and Alps.
Rhythm Alps.
Yeah, so that's Lake Wanaka.
There you go.
Oh, I said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, I don't feel like you did. Okay. Yeah, there.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Lake Wanaka. Nice one, man.
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome.
Well, we got there in the end. Whew.
What a spot to pop the question as well.
Yeah, and thank
Was that planned or did you just get swept up in the moment?
Well, I'd had the ring with me for throughout the whole trip, so it was
right.
But when we got there, it was almost one of those.
Bro, it's kind of cliche that you're carrying a ring around that area.
Yeah, I know.
My precious.
You know what I mean? I remember I was just trying to where am I going to do this? No, this isn't. It just kind of. I think wherever we were, it just wasn't really appropriate, and the weather was pretty shitty that day. I think as well. It was right. So it was getting to the point where I was like, right, we're heading further north now, and this is just, it's not going to, there's nowhere, I don't really want to do it in Rotorua where it just sort of stinks of sulphur and so I think, I kind of, it felt like the right moment, and it did.
Nice.
And I still have fond memories, but not that I can remember the name of the place, but it's definitely a fond memory. So yeah, New Zealand's literally just embedded in my life in so many bloody ways.
It is, bro. Well, this is why you're the first international producer I wanted to get on, because I know this. I know that how deep your history goes over here, and out of all the producers, really, I mean, Trace was out here in the early days, and of course Jason A-Sides as well is deeply rooted in New Zealand, but after that, I think you're the one who really took New Zealand under his wing as part of his, his makeup, and that's why we're talking about it now. Because I mean, far out, some of these funny memories are just podcast gold. Trust me.
Yeah, because I literally hit up Cam as well the other day, and I was just like, because I've known him for so long. But I was just like, how did we meet? Because I was pretty sure it would have been through Ollie, because I remember just hanging out with Ollie a lot, and Ollie and Johnny, and when they were making tunes.
I remember we had a big barbecue around at my place. I've got a photo of it still, actually. It was like me, you, Matty Logistics, Jakes, Johnny, Ollie. We all had a big barbecue at our place in Sandringham.
That's right.
It was nice, man.
Okay, that's so all the pieces are starting to slot because Cam was like, I came to his studio. Because you see, the first time he met me, I walked into his studio and I said, "Yeah, that sounds okay."
Yep.
And it does sound like me, actually.
Yeah, I remember that was the first night I ever played any of my 140 stuff, and you were like, "What the fuck?" I was like, "Yeah, sweet." Barbecue 140. DBridge is into it. Jake's is into it. This is good. Who else was there? TC. That's right. TC came over for dinner too.
Yeah. So what year was that then?
Fuck, bro, like 2008. It was just before Johnny Soon passed away.
Right, yeah. That's right.
It was about a month and a half beforehand, actually, because I remember we had that barbecue, then I came back over to England and I stayed with you.
Yeah.
And then came back over, and then I had to go to Vanuatu with my partner to just go and have a bit of a vacation, and 3 days later, I got the phone call that he'd passed away. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was like all in a very short amount of time. That one, it was mad. It was just. Yeah, obviously, for the people listening out there, there's a drum and bass duo from Aotearoa back in the mid-2000s that were just coming through that had kind of been part of the fabric of New Zealand drum and bass from the start. They'd worked in like one of the main bars in New Zealand, well, in Auckland called Foo Bar as bartenders, and then started, just getting their heads together as DJs, and then started producing together, and then started making waves throughout the world. Like guys like Darren picked up on them, and next thing you know, CERN is becoming a really sort of solid production duo. But just as they were about to reach a stage where they were about to do something really fucking amazing, Johnny ended up taking his own life, which was one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my life. It was like losing my little brother, and all of us felt the exact same way. There's probably a lot of people out here listening to this podcast right now who know exactly what I'm talking about, and big shout out to all of yous. But that was a huge loss for the drum and bass scene in New Zealand, because it was such a shame. They were about to do such amazing things together, and they'd been best friends all their lives, kind of thing,
Yeah, there was just I'm pretty sure we wrote a tune together as well. I don't know if Ollie still got it, and because I remember going around the studio and working on some stuff with them. They were. Johnny was a funny sod. Jesus, I remember that.
He was amazing. He was hilarious. Like,
oh my god,
just the funniest guy with the biggest. Like, every time he walked in a room, he'd just like lighten up the room. You know what I mean? Just big smile,
was that guy.
Huge heart. Yeah.
Funny, man.
Like, well, let's talk about with your connection with Kiwi artists. Like, obviously, myself and Josh were the first artists from New Zealand that you picked up on and signed. You started a new subdivision label of Bad Company Recordings called Square One, and released myself and Josh a couple of tunes, Paradigm and Capture, I think they were. I can't quite remember, but like that was our first. Like, we'd always looked up to you guys so much as producers, fucking DJs, label owners as well, because the music that you guys put out was it was so, you sort of set the benchmark for new producers to come through and start their own record label and dictate the terms of how their music gets heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was really important, and really inspirational for cats like us who were thinking about starting our label down the line, sort of thing. But then there was another generation of producers that came through, and these are the guys that I'm about to talk to you about: CERN and Cam McLaren, Consequence.
Yeah.
And you really took these guys under your wing, right?
Yeah, I think Ollie. I was really into what Ollie. We never really got around to. I never really got around to releasing anything, because I'm trying to. Because I started Exit around 2003. So I'd kind of like, and Square One would have been around just before the end of Bad Company, right? I think we.
Yeah, I think around 2002.
Yeah. So I was in that sort of transitional period myself, but obviously I was always still connected with what was people were doing, and Ollie was sending me tunes, and I was playing them, but I wasn't really in a position to be putting things out at that time for other people. I kind of started my label with the intention of just releasing my own music, and then obviously as the sort of years rolled on, and then I think I just always kept in touch, and they people were sending me music, but it was like Cam's voice really sort of started to become clear around the Autonomic time, when I was doing Autonomic with instrumental Kid Drama and Bodica, and when we started the podcast, and he was sending this stuff over, and I was just kind of like, hold on a minute, it's like this kid gets it. Do you know what I mean? He's kind of like,
yeah. Well, at this stage, Exit was a clear shift. It was a clear breakaway from conventional drum and bass. This was electronica, and Cam was fucking. It was funny because I've lived with Cam in the past. He was my flatmate. I just remember being this grubby, annoying kid who always fucking left smelly socks in the lounge room and shit like that. But every single day, honing his craft, fucking tinkering with beats, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? And he was surrounded by myself and Ollie and Johnny and like all that as well. So I'm sure he drew some inspiration from what we were all doing. But he went off on such a different tangent when he met you.
Yeah, it was just. I think it's. I think you're. I assume you're going to get him on to have a chat at some point as well. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I'll be interested to find out how he came to that sort of into that. Because for me, it was like I say, I was just so deeply entrenched with what was going on with the Autonomic thing, but on what the music that I was being sent, and his stuff really stood out, and he had a real sort of solid vision as well in terms of how he wanted, with the artwork and how the album that he was writing. It just felt like a sort of, I got him and he got me in that sense. And it was just his stuff just really, it wasn't derivative, which is what I liked, because a lot of the time, because once Autonomic was starting, people were starting to sort of send us stuff where it is always the way in drum and bass. It's kind of like, oh, this is the new thing. This is, let's try and reverse engineer it. Oh, it's fifth chords and these drums, and it's like, no, that's not it. Do you know what I mean? And he was never like that. He just had his own, like I say, his own sound, his own rhythm, and his own voice, and I was just really drawn to that. And the whole sort of Live for Never, that was the first one, Live for Never album. It was amazing. It was just such a strong album.
I remember when he sent it to me, and I was expecting something completely different. But I just remember like turning the lights off in my room and just turning it up loud and laying on my bed and listening to it, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" Like, I just, it's hard to give albums bodies of work that kind of time these days, and because it was Cam, I was like, I want to hear this, because I knew he'd said he'd been working on something special, and like obviously, he was over there living in London and stuff as well, and it was like just getting to hear this product of his big OE and all that sort of shit. I guess I looked at him as like a little brother as well,
Yeah.
So it was like proud to hear what he had achieved,
Yeah.
But fuck me days when I heard it, I was like, someone started making jokes. It was like, bro, someone should buy Cam a snare for Christmas.
Yeah, but he didn't need it. That's the thing. He's kind of like he could find rhythm in the sort of in the strangest places. And that's what I like. A kind of like, like I said, that the sort of generic sort of. It was it was probably around I think 2009. I assume Pendulum were pretty strong round about that time. It was like 200 hertz snares, and it has to be. There was all these kind of hard and fast rules that people assumed the D&B had to be. And me, myself, and Exit, and we were always sort of against that idea. And you could hear it with him as what he was doing, and I think as well, because around that time as well as with Autonomic, because the impression that it had on a lot of musicians, because it was also sort of post dubstep as well, in the sense of like there was artists from the dubstep scene who didn't really want to make dubstep anore, but found a connection with what we were doing. We were getting sent stuff from like I say, working with Scream, Joy Orbison, Ramadan Man, Scuba, all these people that were just kind of moving away from what was considered to be dubstep. And so there was this kind of connection between all of us, and Cam was a part of that. And the Live for Never album as well was a part of that history. Because I think as well, because he had a release on Darkestral as well, which around the same year, which was also considered to be kind of like, the sort of gold standard of that type of sound. Do you know what I mean? They were releasing the early instrumental stuff. So for them to pick up for Cam as well was like a big deal. In some way, it was another seal of approval. So he's just like.
I remember him coming back out here once this had kind of happened and playing a set, and it just did not connect on the dance floor. It was like, it was weird. I mean, it did amongst all of us, all of his mates, but like there was no benchmark set for that. There was no reference set for that kind of sound over here. Obviously, Club Autonomic over there was, like you say, it had kind of defined the new era, and it was the new sound, and it was a direction that was shooting off that had subgenres already sprouting up from it, and Cam being one of those artists that sort of spearheaded that sound. But it never picked up over here in New Zealand, and
No, well, to be fair, we did do an Autonomic tour in New Zealand. Me and Damon came over. Oh god, that was another funny one as well. Actually, where did we do? We did Splore, and then I remember we played in Christchurch at something, and we did do an Auckland gig as well. But it was they were all right. But again, it was just like we knew as well that it was a weird one, because I think because we basically got a tour off the back of a podcast. Do you know what I mean? It was like pretty much a world tour off the back of this podcast and playing at all these places. So we were finding out ourselves the same thing that Cam did. Is just kind of like people were looking at us like, what?
Yeah, right. So people like talking about it. They don't like dancing to it.
Yeah, but I think it was almost as kind of like, it's just the setting wasn't right. Do you know what I mean? It was like, in some ways it was probably too early in terms of like, you had D&B raves and you had house raves and dubstep, but the whole sort of bass music thing hadn't really, I suppose, been defined as such. So
yeah,
we were getting put on after the wrong people probably, or,
yeah.
So
you can't clean up with the exit sound or the autonomic sound after Andy.
No, do you know what I mean? We know that. So it's like, and I think that as well. We try to work out what would work in that realm, in that world. Do you know what I mean? And it was fun for us to kind of sort of find out. Okay, like. Like Acacia Avenue, the thing with the instrument and the scream, that goes off. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, and that's an Autonomic classic.
Yeah.
So it was like, we know we can sort of build those kind of tunes, and Cam was as well. So, but it was almost like the problem that we felt that it was in drum and bass is that just because you can write those kind of tunes doesn't mean you shouldn't write these other tunes. And that was what we felt was a problem, I think. And that's what we kind of tried to do with the podcast, is like, there's more to D&B than just that side of things. And that side of things is all well and good, and it's great and everything. But it was almost like, let me see what you can do without a snare. And Cam showed him.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I look forward to getting him on so he can respond to these claims of lack of snare. But I mean, you're up to some pretty cool shit musically at the moment as well, man. The AIMI thing that you've got going on as well with your brother Steve Spacek, who has also been dabbling in some New Zealand music alongside Devin Abrams, Pacific Heights recently.
Oh, really?
Shapeshifter.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. He dropped a single last year and it's amazing. I think it might have actually been earlier in the year, but yeah, really cool. I think he's living over in Sydney, isn't he?
Yeah. Actually, no, he's just moved.
Yeah.
He's moved further north now, I think. That just reminded me, actually, just kind of like another journey to Fat, I think it was when my brother came up and I was driving. I didn't really know anybody in the van. It was one of those it was kind of like one of those.
You're in the wrong van.
Yeah,
bruv.
I was in the wrong van, and someone was playing some music, and then this tune came on, and I was like, "That's my brother." It was like, I hadn't heard it before. And these guys turned around and said, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, that's my brother. What song's this? Who's this?" And it was, they were like, "Oh, that's our track." And I was like, "Well, who are you?" And it was Electric Wire Hustle, those guys.
Oh, yes. Mara TK and Electric Wire. Yes.
Yeah,
Nice.
and that was how I met those guys. And it was, I think the track's called "Thank You, Steve" as well.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Awesome.
On their, I think it was on their debut album. Great album.
I wonder if they thought you were taking the piss.
No, we generally got right. I think they did at first, but then it was just like, no, that actually is my brother. But yeah, that's right. I just got reminded of that. Are they still around?
Mara TK is. I'm not too sure whether or not Electric Wire Hustle is, but I mean they're part of the fabric of New Zealand music as well.
Yeah.
Especially
who was the lead singer?
Mara TK.
Mara TK. Because there was someone I heard recently who I thought was him.
He's done some music with the Upbeats and all that in the past on their albums. Yeah, he's got an amazing voice.
He has. There's a guy on Ninja Tune that sounds like him, and I thought it was them. Jordan, is it Jordan?
Right.
Jordan Reiki?
Yes, Jordan Reiki.
Yeah,
yes,
it's got a similar tone to him.
Yeah, yeah, he's amazing as well. Another incredible Kiwi artist.
Yeah. Sorry.
You still got your finger on the pulse of Kiwi music, bro. It's nice. It's good to see.
Yeah,
all the way from Belgium.
Shall I tell you who I really like? What's her name? Benny.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. Yeah,
I think she's amazing.
If you love that kind of pop, candy pop kind of vibe, but the thing is as well, the people who produce her are incredible.
Who wrote the track "Soaked"? That's such a tune.
So I think his name is Jordan also, and he used to be in a band called Kids of '88. I think that might be one of her producers.
Okay.
But yeah, she's awesome, man, and like the team behind her are killing it as well with her. The way that she goes out to the world and is presented, you know.
Yeah, that's I really love it. I think I just saw it on some on TV once when in a hotel room in Wanaka, and I just kind of like it just stuck with me ever since that track.
She popped off during the first global lockdown of the pandemic,
right.
and her shit went viral on TikTok, and after that she's kind of just been like on a career trajectory going upwards, you know.
Yeah, I've actually done a cheeky edit of that song actually as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I love that tune.
Bro, we should send it over and I'll chuck it at the end of the podcast, and you might get a bite. Might be a remix offer coming through, bro.
Either that or lawyers.
Or a lawsuit. I reckon it'd probably be the latter, to be fair. Record labels will be scrambling for sales at the moment.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I mean, speaking of scrambling for sales, that was a terrible segue, but let's get back to the AIMI project, man. What is it? Obviously, you've got Steve involved, you've got Scuba, Apple Blim, Rosca,
Steffi. It's so,
Steffi, yes.
So it's a kind of what is it? It's an algorithm trying to do me, I guess, but you know, it's not. Well, basically, what I feed into it sort of stuff that I've created, loops, drums, and you know, melodies and stuff like that, and it basically tries to arrange it. So basically, it's almost like an AI arranger more than anything.
Right.
So it's not actually sort of playing anything. It does pitch things. It changes the pitches of things and stuff like that. But the actual phrasings and things like that, it doesn't really go into that side of things yet. So it's sort of taking what I put into it and sort of, you know, sort of releasing this stream of sort of ideas and I suppose a flow of songs that should in some ways sound like me. And in some ways and in some parts it does, and in some ways it really doesn't. But I kind of like it. It's just sort of continually learning. I think as long as more and more people listen to it and it does what it tries to do, I suppose in some ways it will find its own voice, do you know what I mean? But it's just kind of made up of elements that I feed into it.
Right. Does that feel weird being the mother of the motherboard?
Yeah.
I mean, this is machine learning, right? So this is constantly trying to evolve a set of directives that you've given it and create music from it, right?
Yeah. It does feel a little bit weird, but at the same time, it's kind of the ego side of me, I suppose, is kind of, I like the idea of it, that it's almost like another way of me leaving my mark. Do you know what I mean? There's this thing out there sort of trying to sort of continue with my voice, you know, hopefully long after I'm gone. The same way.
That is mad. Like, is this a new concept that's just been designed around what you're doing, or is this something that's been marketed to producers to leave like ongoing legacies? Sort of?
I don't think that they look at it that way though. So that's right. So I think that's just my interpretation of it. I think the same way I like you know, making records and stuff like that is for me a way of kind of leaving my mark on this planet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this is just another extension of that. I think they just, you know, I think prior to the recent launch, it had been out and it was just kind of doing, like gym music or something. I don't want to say, but like ambience
music.
Yeah, ambient setting. Do you know what I mean? Or dance setting. So this time it's kind of like, okay, let's get people's influences and their voices in there and see what it can do. And it's weird. It kind of like, speaking to the team is kind of it does, because drum and bass isn't a totally linear form of music. Our arrangements are very different from other people's in dance music, and there's totally. There's lots of things sort of going on, and it doesn't really. When I first started putting stuff into it, it kind of like it's like, nah, this isn't good at all. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it thinks this is house music kind of thing. It's like, so it's gonna, and I think it's gonna take a. So I've had to kind of drip feed it a little bit in terms of.
I was gonna say, has it spat anything out that sounds like Skrillex or anything of that?
No, he hasn't gone that far yet. I'll turn it. Well, no, I love Skrillex, but no, I've told him no. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
Don't go bro on me, bro. Do you know what I mean?
We've been there. No one needs to go back there.
But I think it'd probably be interesting if he got involved. So what he could put into it,
mate. Could imagine like his sound library and just some of the weird and wacky ideas that he'd be able to feed into machine learning.
So,
that'd be mad.
Yeah,
I'm loving the whole concept. Sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's cool. I think because it's early days, and I think it was like, I had to deliver a certain amount of content for it to be able to do its thing. But in my head, it's kind of like, and I could just walk away from it now and be like, yeah, that's it, it's done. But I kind of want to be sort of keep updating it and see where it goes. Do you know what I mean?
It's called nurture, bro.
Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Nurturing.
My little AI baby.
Look, you've had children now, bro.
True.
We're all drum and bass dads out here, so it's the next step, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, bro, like honestly, it's been so cool to like just catch up and let the older and the new generations hear some of the yarns and stories of your times out here and your connections with Aotearoa and New Zealand drum and bass and what you've done for the scene from very, very early on. We're talking 23 years ago is when you first came out. So 25 years ago is when you first came out. Jeez.
I might have to do a tour off the back of that, innit? 25 years.
Yeah, you and Maldini get the band together again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Future forces. Imagine that. Clayton be fucking like, right, I want in. Let's go.
Yeah. Innit? Wow.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for your time, brother.
All right,
and we're looking forward to catching you out here in Aotearoa again very soon. And
man.
And seeing you in person, bro.
I think next time I'll be out there, I'll probably bring my kids as well. So yeah.
Oh, mate, and stay a little bit, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Why not?
Definitely. All right, man.
Awesome, bro.
Take care,
and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, man. Take it easy. See you, everyone.
You've been listening to the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass series. For episode schedules and podcast information, follow us at NZDMB Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, with new episodes weekly on all major podcasting platforms. This is the History of New Zealand Drum and Bass.